Welcome back. It's DAR Sports Media. We got the Hoops Hour once again every week as we do. We got this is the time, man. I guess it's the time of the regular season where stuff's starting to get a little chippy. The NBA Cup starts today, actually, when you will listen to this. I myself, of course, am True. I'm here with my guy Jeff Axe. We got Apollo in the building, and of course, Mr. 10-day contract himself, currently on a 2-way contract at your local YMCA, Lee Harvey in the building. So, brothers, how are we feeling about this NBA Cup? We'll start with that first. I'm gonna start with you, Lee. How you feel about this NBA Cup? I know the in-season tournament thing. A lot of people have had their mixed feelings about it. Lee, how you feeling about it?
I feel good about it. It honestly, they make more of an effort to make this a thing more than the NBA All-Star Weekend. They at least try. So, I mean, that's always good. But
Yeah.
The in-season tournament last year, it wasn't that bad. Especially with certain games you have to win, and if you win enough, you get to Vegas in the semifinals, and then if you win there, you get to the championship game, and that looked good. The whole thing looked good, and the customized courts that they play on, they look pretty sweet. So I like the in-season tournament. The NBA Cup is what they call it now. I like the whole format of it.
I hated it last year because of who won it. Absolutely. If anybody else would have won it, I loved it. But because of who won it, I was like, I hate that shit. But Ax, let me holler at you, Ax. Your Celtics, man. They starting it off against the Hawks. They defending champions. You do think they care enough to go for this in-season tournament? Like, do they care enough to want that too?
Honestly, no. I think it's about just getting through the season healthy and looking at the injury report for tomorrow's game. Like, it's so many players that's questionable, including Tatum, Al Horford, that we might trick that game off. In all honesty, like Tatum's been playing high level. I'm not gonna say MVP, but he's like been very, very elite to start the year. Like the most 30-point games this season, averaging 31, 7, and 5. I don't know. Missoula's a sicko, so he might care. But, I'm not sure. Like, I just hope we just get through the season healthy. Maybe Peyton Pritchard goes off in this game, gets him a 30 piece. He's been playing really well to start the year. But the games I'm intrigued in season wise is Clay's return to Golden State. Like, hearing him talk about it's been a little bit weird, man. Like, it's a lot of animosity still there for sure. And also, I'm looking forward to Embiid's first game. It's going to be Sixers and the Knicks tomorrow. It was a lot of heat and animosity in that playoff series between, Embiid hurt Mitchell Robinson. He's like the new villain in New York. It's him and Trae Young. So I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think Embiid might be a little rusty. Paul George has looked very, very rusty to start off the year. Looked like he might have lost a step. It's still early, but it's not looking too great. He's not really looking like he can blow past defenders anymore. It's still a lot of mid-range contested shots that he's settling for. I don't like how it looks so far. Philly needs to play Jared McCain more, too. That kid's talented. They keep trotting out the old vets, but he played yesterday for the first time extended minutes. He had 27 points. So,
No, I agree.
Man. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, like we talked about before the show, his interior trash, man. Like, to give up 94% at the rim, like opponents shooting 32 or 35 at the rim on you and you 7 feet tall. Like, come on, bro. What the fuck are you doing?
Nah, Cat definitely looking a little. And it's funny because when the Knicks made the trade, I think a lot of people felt like, oh man, they got this great starting lineup. And if Tay was here, he would obviously call OG Anunoby the greatest defender that ever lived. And And when you got, Mikal Bridges, who is a talented player, but he randomly started changing his 3-point shot out of nowhere. And he has been off and on. Like, I think he shot like 2 of 8 and 3 of 11 and 1 or 0 for whatever last couple games. So the Knicks, they not looking as great. Granted, the Eastern Conference right now does not look great in general, but when you got the Bulls, I think knocking at 5th or 6th right now, I don't think that's what you want. But Apollo, let me ask you, man. NBA Cup in season tournament. You got any standout games? Any stories? Any narratives you think?
I mean, to piggyback off of what you guys said, I mean, there's a lot of drama with the Mavericks and Warriors game. That's going to be a real interesting one to see. There's a lot of, as X said, animosity. It sounds like from Clay's side, but I mean, all I think both of the teams are still pretty good. So drama alone is going to be a pretty nice matchup. I think. I'd say the Raptors and the Bucks is going to be an interesting game for the sake of the desperation of Milwaukee. I think Giannis in particular is going to try to I guess take over himself and will them, what I mean, into that win. I think Giannis is going to be very motivated. I mean, I can't speak for Dame and really anybody else for that matter, because I mean it is what it is. But I think that this is going to mean a lot to Giannis, and he's been killing it, basically all season. And over 30 points over the last few games he had, stuff like that. But what else? I think yeah, the Jazz and the Suns. Now the Jazz are starting to kind of come into their own. I think the objective of the Jazz is to not win games. I believe that Danny Ainge really wants that in his heart of hearts. But on the court, these kids are starting to learn, how to be a little more competitive. I'm not saying they're really good per se, but they're starting to be a little more competitive. Isaiah Collier, I mean, he's a pit bull. I mean, he's still young. He's still got a lot of maturity and growing to do. But he's starting. You had to at least lean into your strengths if you want to make it in the NBA. You want to make it on a pro level. You have to lean into what got you drafted, and his build, along with his speed, matching with marketing, and like I said, I like Kyle Filipowski. I mean, I like what he can add. That's an extra body that you can match with Walker Kessler. You know what I mean? That should lead to more possessions for them. I mean, but like I said, I think the objective of the franchise is to lose. But aside from that, even though on the opposite side with the Suns, even though KD's out for a little bit, I still think it's still going to be a competitive game. I think Phoenix is going to beat them, easily. But still, it would be good to see, Beal and Ryan Dunn, who's the rookie, coming out of Virginia. He's been pretty solid, Now the kid has been showing that he can be a perimeter player. That was the knock on him coming out of college. But I think he's a good decoy either way you slice it. He showed that he can hit a perimeter shot, but that's not really his game. The defense is more his game, and that's good to have. When you got so much offense, so much leaning towards offense on that team. So yeah. Outside of the big matches, those are the ones.
Yeah, for me, I'll say the Mavs and the Warriors, and I'm glad X kind of brought it up a little bit. The Clay comments, something came out that I thought most people knew, but I guess they didn't know in detail. was that Clay, I guess a big contention of issue between the two sides has to be the fact that when Clay injured his Achilles and towards Achilles, that he was like 10 pounds above his normal playing weight, and it was a unapproved like open gym run when it happened, and he wasn't working with the Warriors, the Warriors like medical staff or nothing. He was trying to rehab on his own and trying to get back, and so I guess that was like an issue that was an unspoken one until I guess they finally decided to break up, and then details came out how Steve Kerr came to him and basically was like, "Hey, we want to keep you, we want you here, but it might be a chance you have to come off the bench, and whatnot." And they said that Clay was like, "Yeah, it's just time for a break, and it's time for time for him to leave." And I guess as an interesting turn of fate, Clay has not been looking extremely well, you know, in this Mavs team. I think he got off to a decent start those first game or two, and then it's kind of been a little up and down. And I saw a couple articles from Mavericks beat writers and stuff like that asking if it's time for Klay Thompson to come off the bench for the Dallas Mavericks, and if he should be coming off the bench for the Dallas Mavericks. They're talking about when PJ Washington is fully healthy, talking about when Marshall is kind of showing that he is worthy of, and so there's a conversation that is to be had. And I think, how long before that moping that he was doing on the sidelines and on the bench for the Warriors, how long before that comes into play with the Mavericks too? And that is something interesting. I think Steph Curry had kind of mentioned that he was going to be emotional about having Klay come back, and it seems like the Warriors organization is like emotional about Klay coming back, but it doesn't feel like Klay is just like, oh, it's just another game, just another game. So, I mean, it could be a poker face by Klay because he's not trying to get too wrapped up in the emotions of it. He want to go hoop, or it could really be the bad blood could really be that bad. So I do think that's a great story, great narrative. But another game that I am oddly enough interested in, 2 games, is both Eastern Conference games. I have no idea why I'm interested in these games for the NBA Cup, the start of it. The Miami Heat and the Detroit Pistons. I have no idea why this matchup intrigues me, but it's something about these Pistons where I find them as even though they kind of stink, it's like they're fascinating. The Heat kind of stink too right now, so I'm fascinated by this matchup, and I'm like kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop with the Pistons to where they can start to get a little momentum. I see it. Cade Cunningham is a star, and he is playing great basketball, so I am really curious to see how that turns out. And then the other matchup is the Hornets versus the Magic. Obviously, I would love if Paolo would be able to play. I'm really enjoying this LaMelo run that he's on right now, and I think the Hornets obviously aren't a team you would look at and say contender or somebody you'd expect to be in the top 4, top 5 in their conference. But LaMelo is playing like really great basketball right now. I think they have a solid core group of guys that know how to play together. It just has not translated yet into wins. So those are the 2 games outside of the Mavs and the Warriors that I'm looking forward to. But let me ask you, man, is there anything been catching your eye so far in the NBA? Anything you wanna discuss?
Before I go to that point, last thing about the Klay joint, I thought it was weird when they was like they got captain hats, like all the fans are gonna be wearing that.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And he was like, I guess that's cool for the fans, I guess. I'm like, come on, bro. What are you on? I thought that was as far as the Pistons, they definitely look better under JB Bickerstaff. They got a new GM in Trajan London, who used to be the GM for the Pelicans, and he did a nice job of bringing in some vets like Malik Beasley, Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., and you could tell they look much improved. And as far as Charlotte's concerned, shout out to Charles Lee. He used to be our assistant, and he used to be an assistant for the Bucks. Like 2 years they won so he has 2 rings as an assistant coach. So you see the difference. You see them competing. They're taking shit more serious. And Trey Mann has been really good for LaMelo as far as backcourt duo. He's averaging about 19 to 20 a game. And they're competing hard. So they're definitely going to be better in the past few years, both teams. But as far as teams that are standing out and really impressive, I got to give a shout out to the Cavs. Best record in the league right now. Darius Garland back to all-star form. Mobley, he's looking like he's taking the leap. He's shooting threes with confidence, taking it off the glass, coming full court playmaking. Jared Allen's a double-double machine. Donovan Mitchell still playing a high level. Probably the most underrated player in the NBA, in my opinion. Like, Mitchell don't get the credit he deserves. Gets to the playoffs every fucking year with, like, no All-NBA teammates.
Yes.
But he always gets criticized. It's ridiculous, man. And you think about it, bro. Like, every year in Utah, his second best player was Bogdanovich. And he was a playoff dropper. He was the main offensive option. He averaged 28 a game in the playoffs. But, like, they just overlook him all the time. It's ridiculous. The Thunder is standing out for sure. I'm concerned about Chet being out 8 to 10 weeks. That's disappointing because he was playing at a high level. But, you know, SGA, he's going to be an MVP candidate again. They still got J-Dub, Williams. Hopefully Hartenstein can come back soon. They're missing their top 3 centers, which is crazy.
That's why their lineup tonight is like 6'6", and it's like 6'6", 6'5", 6'3". That's the height of their starting 5.
I think they were starting Ousmane Dieng at center, right?
Oh no, they didn't start him. It's all 6'6" and smaller. Like, that's their
old school Rockets. Okay,
yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do. They up by 13 and a half. And I also want to shout out the Clippers. They've been way better than I thought they would be. Like, Norman Powell averaging 25 a game. You got Zubac averaging 17 and 13 boards. Like, they look way better than I thought they would. I thought they was gonna be trash.
Hey, X, do you think the Clippers? Because they don't have much assets? Do you think they try to make some type of trade at all to improve, or is this what they stuck with?
I think they got a lot of cap space next year. So if they could just roll with it, because there's no incentive in tanking, because I think the Thunder had their pick. So they got to play well this year. Like, the Thunder got their pick from the Paul George trade.
Yeah.
So they got to play well. I wouldn't blow it up. I'll try to get as close to like 45 to 50 wins as possible. Because there's no incentive to tank. They got a lot of cap space, and they could sign somebody if they play well. Like, yo, we got Norm Powell. I mean, Harden's not shooting well, but he's still averaging 21 points and 8 assists. So you still got guys that are playing at a high level. And yeah, it's intriguing. The Nets look a little better than I expected too. I thought they was gonna be one of the worst teams in the league, but Cam Thomas and Schroeder were cooking, and Cam Johnson too. Now that's gonna be a player that might be somebody you could watch on the trade market if they decide to blow it up.
What do you think? If you think they did blow it up, what do you think the Nets would send? You think what team would use a player like that?
Like Cam Johnson?
Yeah, I mean he's a good shooter. Obviously, he can get buckets. So I mean, is there any team right now that you see that needs a player like that? Like, every team would want a player like that, but is there any team right now that's like missing a shooter like that's a centerpiece shooter like that?
I think, and I would hate for it to happen as a Celtics fan, but if Cleveland was to get Cam Johnson, I'll take him to double levels. Got to hold it 3.
Because they really,
like, I hope
they really don't have no shooters like that.
Starting off 11-0 with no shooters like that is crazy. Niggas got Jared Allen and shit out there, like pulling out double doubles, and Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Like, it's weird though, because you said, like we said, they're no shooters, but like Donovan Mitchell can get hot from 3, Darius Garland can get hot from 3. So I think also in the league right now, we're at a time where it's like you don't necessarily have these players that are like considered shooters. Like, you're not a Steph Curry, a Klay Thompson, a Buddy Hield, or one of those types. But if you could shoot 35 to 38% from the field, you know what I'm saying, for 3, you doing better than a lot of the damn league. So I think at this point, Donovan Mitchell, I don't know what he shoots. What is he shooting this year? I haven't seen so far, but I'd say he's a streaky 3-point shooter, like a deceptively good 3-point shooter when he gets hot. So
it's one more team I just thought of too. If Minnesota could get him, I think that'd be dangerous too.
Minnesota is they look solid this year so far. I was a little surprised that they took that L to the Miami Heat the other night. I was a little surprised by that one, especially considering how it happened. But yeah, the Timberwolves definitely could use another shooter. Dante DiVincenzo, he hasn't been lighting them up like he was lighting them up in New York, but he is still able to, he gets you 2 or 3 threes a game. And if you are someone who uses FanDuel at all or DraftKings, that might be a prop you might want to toss on your parlay when the Wolves play. You did mention the Cavs if they could get they might be a team to look out for to potentially get Cam Johnson. What about these Cavs right now? Because they have the most interesting start to the NBA season in quite some time. A couple people said they remind them of the 2015 Atlanta Hawks. I saw that and I said, I don't want to put that bad juju on them, boy.
I can't go for that. Mitchell's better than any player on that Hawks team.
Yes, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. And we've seen Mitchell in the playoffs. He's had his 50 burgers in his 35, 40-point game, so he can definitely show up and perform. But let me ask you, Lee, because you're the Ohio man. You're the Ohio man. So in the midst of getting your latest 2-way contract, what's the word in Ohio in terms of these Cavs right now? Like, do you feel like they're legit, or is this start kind of just like fluky a little bit? Is it a fluke start, or is this they like the real deal? Will they be competing? Will Axe have to worry about them being a thorn in his side in the playoffs, or because we would, I think the thought process for the Celtics fans, because they're repeating. I think you had to look out for like Philadelphia, the Knicks. You were thinking about maybe the Bucks.
Not Philly at all, brother.
I know you weren't, nigga. We know you, Axe. We know you were looking out for the brother. We know. I'm just saying, on paper. When you say on paper, you got a big a miniature 3 with PG, Embiid, and Maxey. Not really a big 3, but you got 3 niggas that can play. So I guess that fits. But I mean, the Cavs kind of just. I don't think any of us expected them to be top of the NBA. And, I don't want to say this, but a Donovan Mitchell team with a big having a lot of regular season success is not that foreign. That foreign, because we've seen the Utah Jazz do that shit before, and we saw how that turned out. So, let me ask you, Lee, what do you think? What do you think about these Cavs? Are they legit? Are they like the real deal now, or what?
I feel like they're the real deal. Now, can they beat Boston? That remains to be seen. But they can compete. I know it won't be a 5-game series like it was last year.
To be fair, y'all had hella injuries last year in that playoff series, dog. To be fair.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. I feel like this isn't a fluke. We've all talked about what they have now, and honestly, the real difference is the coach and Kenny Atkinson. Like, JB Bickerstaff had this same roster for 4 or 5 years. It never started like this. What Kenny's doing has to be an added bonus, and maybe that could turn the tide a bit once they get to the playoffs.
With Kenny, bro, because he got a raw deal in Brooklyn. Remember, he took D'Lo, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Karis LeVert to the playoffs and had them all averaging around like 20 a game. So he was a really, really good coach. And then Kyrie said he didn't want him as the coach. They let him go, and they went to Golden State. was an assistant there, got a ring there. So Kenny Atkinson was always a good coach. So I said, as soon as y'all hired him, and I got the video on my Twitter page, I was like, yo, the Cavs gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna be a top 5 team in the East. And some people were like, yo, you reaching? I'm like, nah, they got Kenny Atkinson, the coach, man. He the guard whisperer, bro. Yeah. You see Garland, he's got to perform. So. Yes.
You know what? That's funny because the X just mentioned that, and you don't think about how long Kenny Atkinson was in Golden State, because I guess the most important thing we think about is him in Brooklyn, and then he went straight from Brooklyn to being an assistant on Golden State, and he was around the championship team and championship pedigree. So him being a guard whisperer already, you could attribute some of the success of Jordan Poole even to kind of being around him and like that, and then obviously Steph and so it's interesting to go from being with a team that had a championship pedigree that was like the last dynasty, and then you get your own team with some talented guys in both Mitchell and Garland. You got Evan Mobley out there. You got Jared Allen. He has a hell of a roster, and he has the wealth of experience of being under other coaches and being around other other coaches and stuff, and other top tier players. So that is something. And then speaking of Golden State, I just want to quickly point out, I think Terry Stotts and Jerry Stackhouse being added to the coaching staff is the difference maker, because it's funny when you look at the Warriors' record the last couple of years. I think they were like 45-37 and then 46-36. So they were a couple wins off of 50 wins both seasons. And as we know, they were blowing games both of those seasons. Like they would have 20-point leads, and I would always see X on timeline, like, where the Warriors fans at now? They blew that 20-point lead and shit like that. But it was true. If the Warriors could have kept, I think it was it last year? I think it was last year where they blew like 15 double-digit leads in the second half. So this was a team that had the talent, the system to still compete and be good, but they just couldn't hold a lead. And this year, it looks like they are slowly learning how to hold a lead, or at least win a game where they blow a lead, which was last year. In the last 2 years, they would have lost this game against OKC. They would have lost the game against Houston Rockets, and if they won an OT, they would have probably got washed by the Celtics for sure. So I think there is something to be said. And I guess it does go back to Axe's point, how Clay seems a little salty, a little bit. Like, could it be that Clay feels like if you're watching your ex do better without you, it don't necessarily feel good to see, like, goddamn motherfucker, like, you left me, you're like, you happy and shit. Steph hugging Buddy Hield and shit, patting him on the back. The Anthony Melton it got one start. That occurs like, oh, this motherfucker starting. He out there, and I think the difference this year for Golden State is simply effort. It's simply effort, because, and I'm just gonna point out, Pajeski, Pods, man, I think that boy stinks. I think he stinks. And listen, look, you're gonna tell the truth. They was talking about they want to try to trade him for Lowry, Markkanen, and fucking Paul George and shit. When they said that, look, listen, I understand the great white hype, the great white hope is something that most teams want. Everybody ain't gonna be Jokic. Everybody ain't gonna be Luka. Hell, niggas ain't gonna be Peyton Pritchard. Let's be clear. You ain't even gonna be that. Like Pajeski is terrible on defense. He has been terrible on defense. He has not been a good passer. He cannot shoot. He is literally – Trace Jackson-Davis also has been struggling a little bit here and there too. I've been watching that. Looney has returned to form. So it looks like the Golden State Warriors and their veteran core and the guys who played together for the last couple years that are still around, and you added in smart veterans. Kyle Anderson, very underrated player in general. Slow-mo has been – I mean, he damn sure cooked them Celtics in that first half when he was hitting
3 pointers for fraudulent, dog. I was like, why the hell his robot shooting ass? That'd be hot, dog.
I see the first when I watched that game, the first thing I thought, I said, man, I know X pissed. I look at the timeline and I see I was like, I know X pissed, because when and that was a good game. Like I said, shout out to the Celtics. Obviously, man, Celtics, it's the Celtics. They top tier team, but it's just the Golden State Warriors would not have won that game in Boston if this was last year or the year before, because Steph Curry seems like he's playing a lot more free now without It's weird without Klay Thompson. And look, I'm gonna be honest. Chris Paul is a legendary player. He's a great point guard, but he did not fit what the offense needed. You need your Andrew Wiggins, your Jonathan Kumingas. You need those guys getting on the field. Like Buddy Hield he be running down that damn court, and D'Anthony Melton, he got speed. It's just a little bit of athleticism and the ability to move the ball. I think against OKC the other night, they had like 33, 34 assists. I think they're second in the league in assists. And I think that's what Golden State basketball is about. It's about moving the ball, not dribbling the air out the damn ball and sticking with, like that. So they haven't had their identity the last 2 seasons. And now it looks like they got their identity back. And Buddy Hield, hey, man, I had my doubts about Buddy Hield low-key because, if you watch Buddy Hield, he's a frustrating player to watch. And he is not a great defender, but his effort has been the difference maker. And, I mean, obviously Steph cooked in OKC the other night, dropped 36 and 7 threes on him. I think he had like 9 assists too, or 7 assists, something like that. But that's the difference with Golden State right now. They are tied for top in the West right now. Pretty sure OKC is going to take that back, that number 1 spot right now. As we're recording this, they'll probably get the number 1 seed. But let me ask you, Lee, what do you think about these Warriors? Before we get to Axe, what do you think about these Warriors, and do they seem legit now? I mean, they just had a 4-1 road trip with 2 major wins on the road. Obviously, they had the Cavs loss, which seems more like an anomaly than an indication on anything else, because the Cavs don't shoot like that. Let's just be clear. Cavs don't shoot like that. I don't know what the fuck that was. The Cavs don't shoot like that, goddamn. Y'all, they good, but they don't shoot like that, goddamn. Them niggas ain't missed. Them niggas put like 83 points in the first half. I ain't never seen shit like that.
Was up by 41.
Yeah, I ain't never seen nothing like that. I ain't like, nah. We that's an anomaly. But what do you think, man? The Warriors 8-2 right now. They got a heavy stretch coming up. The Dallas game. They got Memphis also on Friday. I think they have. I think they have the Clippers. They go to LA on next Monday. So, what do you think about these Warriors right now?
And they host Memphis on Friday.
Yeah, that's the last. Yeah, they got a 2-game homestand, which is fucking weird. Like they get 2-game homestand and they go right back. They just had a 5-game road trip. They get 2 games at home. Take your ass back on the road and go to LA. Like, I don't understand that. Like, NBA schedule is just dog shit lately. I ain't gonna lie. When these schedules get dog shit. Like, I looked up, same niggas playing each other 2 nights in a row, and then 4 or 5 niggas is missing from both teams. Like, we not getting out. If you paying for league pass, you're not getting your money's worth right now, dog. You're not getting your money's worth. But yeah, I'm sorry, Lee. Go ahead, man. About these Warriors.
Yeah. Golden State's. Hey, look, they've going into this season. I don't know if anyone expected this. Honestly,
I did.
Oh, okay.
No, not really. So I expected it to be better than what y'all did, but I think I'm even surprised at how good they are.
Like, now Kuminga's starting to pick it up after a slow start. I just wonder, what does Moses Moody have to do to get like some normal rotation minutes? Because he's averaging 15 minutes a game, but he's scoring 10 points a game as well. Like, it seems like every time he's out there, he gets buckets.
He cut them dirty ass braids. He get more playing time. I guarantee you. Cut them braids, he gets some more playing time. I think. I really think that's I think it's something about him that they just don't like, but they did extend him, so it's weird. It is a weird thing.
I mean, if that's his role, then I guess there's no change in it. But D'Anthony Melton, he played very well in his first game. I don't know if he's going to be like the starting shooting guard going forward, but if he keeps playing like that, he will be. But yeah, as long as Steph don't get hurt again, but there's plenty of time left in the season. But as long as Steph don't get hurt again, they'll be fine going forward.
X, what you think, man? What do you think about about this Warriors start? They're 8-2 right now. What do you think?
Well, initially I had them in the play-in, like in my off-season prediction, but they look way better than I expected. I knew Buddy Hield would play well there. Like, I've had a prediction on the Hoop Panel show. We say he's going to average between 18 and 20 points per game for the year because people forget that Buddy Hield has like the second most made three-pointers since 2016, I think. So I felt like that was a hand-in-glove fit. Like, he has his flaws, but he could definitely let it fly, and he's just fit in great. I'm really impressed by Kuminga too. He took another step. He's been playing well recently. They're gonna have a decision. He might be walking, but as of now, he's playing really well in this role. Steph, all-time great, still playing at an elite level. As long as you got him playing at a high level, you got a chance, man. So it's just they look really good, man.
I'm glad you brought up the Buddy Hield thing because I was talking to somebody about this like the other day, and they were like, "Man, Buddy Hield, he not this good." And I'm like, "It's not about Buddy Hield being this good or being this bad. I think what it is that Buddy Hield has not played with a team where the system allows you to get as much space as he's gonna get. So he's essentially been plugged into the role of Clay. Like during the prime of the Warriors, their heyday, Clay did a lot of this running around. Clay did a lot of this relocation, stuff like that. And Buddy Hield is getting beautiful looks from three. I mean, just in that third quarter against OKC, he had so many open shots, and you don't want to give somebody who can shoot the ball like that open shots. And it makes it hard because if Buddy Hield's on that floor, even if DeAnthony Melton is on that floor, because DeAnthony Melton has actually been solid. He's a solid three-point shooter. He's not obviously like top tier, but he's not a guy you want to continuously leave open over and over again. So the plan of the last couple of years to double team Steph, you can do that. You can double, triple team Steph. But if you're leaving Buddy Hield open on the side, if you're leaving DeAnthony Melton open on the side, even a Moses Moody when he's on the floor, he's a decent three-point shooter. And also you have Wiggins and Kuminga who both can drive to the basket. So all of that, and if you need a role man, they have a lot of guys. So I think that's the thing that people kind of forget is that the Warriors system, if you have guys who can shoot and you have wings who can get to the basket and score, especially Kuminga. Kuminga is when he's locked in, he looks damn near unstoppable. So for him to have that and for them to have that, I think that is a big factor in their success. And I agree with you, Lito. I would like to see Moses Moody get a little more playing time. I actually think they can cut Pod's minutes down and kind of plug in Moody. And I'll give some credit to Gary Payton II too, because GP2 has not he's been effective in his limited minutes on a defensive end. But I mean, also he can still get up. Despite his injury history, he can still get up. He can still dunk the ball. He can still do a lot of good things. So I like this. I like what the Warriors are doing. I hope to see them stay healthy. I hope to see Pajeski traded off the team before the year's out. And like I said, I think this is the NBA is always good to me from a excitement standpoint when certain teams are able to compete, because the Warriors, obviously they were a dynasty, but they had to rebuild, and they rebuilt, and then they just plugged in smart players. Like I said, DeAnthony Melton, smart player. Buddy Hield, great shooter. Kyle Anderson, very, very smart player. So everybody's doing their thing and playing their role well. And I think, like I said, they have a good amount of depth. I just think they should not overvalue their depth and depend on them, because you can't go 13, 12 deep in the playoffs. So you need to get everybody's role together before, and then maybe they could take some people and make a small trade. You look for somebody in that Cam Johnson, honestly, in that Cam Johnson role of and that earning potential. You could take a GP2 contract, you could take a Pods contract and maybe somebody else's contract, and you can trade that and get something back and turn it into a player that can plug in, and then get even better. I just want Pajeski off the team, honestly. I think
I got a stat about Buddy Hield, because like he's been playing in New Orleans and Sacramento and Indiana. But here's the stat. You remember how I said he made a hell of 3-pointers? This is how many he got in his career right now. He's got 1,964 3-pointers made.
Damn.
Oh yeah.
2000. He hitting 2,000 this year. Goddamn.
2,000. Like he's so underrated when it comes to this shooting shit, bro. Because he's been on them trash teams for so long.
And
yeah.
Oh, and I was gonna say, in the first few games where he had like.
Hey Lee, I think your microphone or something went off, player.
I think he froze. Yeah, like I thought it was just
he
me.
Froze?
I think he's frozen. Yeah.
That boy, fix your Wi-Fi, nigga. Fix your Wi-Fi. Restart the router. Restart the router or something. But whatever he's about to say about Buddy Hield, I agree.
Now. I think he's good now.
Yeah.
Yo, Lee, you good?
You good, Lee? Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Pay your bill, nigga. Pay your bill. Pay that Wi-Fi, man. Pay the Wi-Fi bill, man. Them 10-day contracts pay you well enough, boy. Come on, man.
But yeah, Buddy said he hasn't been this free shooting the ball since college. Yeah, since that blazing early start to the season. That's what he said, and I'm like, since college, and that's when he averaged damn near 30 that year, and and that's how he ended up making a name for himself and being a top 10, top 6, 7 pick in that draft that year.
I think it's interesting, man, because I think when we look at Buddy Hield, DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, these are all guys who came in the league with with some fanfare behind them, and I think they haven't had a chance to fully get to where we expected them to be. And for DeAnthony Melton, for Buddy Hield, for Kyle Anderson to be in a system that pushes you to have a lot of confidence in yourself to go out there and perform. DeAnthony Melton had a double-double against OKC, and OKC is listed as the best defense in the NBA. So that itself is showing you there's a bit of a difference for the Warriors this go around. And I'm anxious to see how this season turns out for them. I hope Steph stays as healthy as he can. I mean, I'm sure he's getting up there in age, so they might rest him a couple games, but this could be a 50-55 win team, and for the Warriors, that's where their sweet spot is. Anywhere between that 50 to 60 win, that's where the sweet spot has always been. Especially during the dynasty years, they were doing 57, 58, 65 here and there. So and they did 55. I think they did 53 or 55 wins the year that they won the championship in 2022. So if they can get a good start in the regular season, get a top 3, top 4 seed, they are competing. And I think other teams, a lot of teams in the Western Conference is a bloodbath. But I think the focus for the Golden State Warriors is if they can stay healthy, I feel like they compete with just about anybody. And I think the one thing they have on their side is that they do have a lot of players who typically can stay healthy. Kuminga doesn't have a lot of bad injury history. Moses Moody doesn't. Buddy Hield has had some injuries, but nothing super major. Steph has had injuries, but he's been fairly decent. He might miss 10, 15 games a year at best, at this point. But I mean, that's just age in general. Draymond can stay healthy because Draymond's been playing pretty good defense, which is what they need. And shout out to Draymond briefly because Draymond takes a lot of flack, rightfully so. Rightfully so, he takes a lot of flack. But I think he's actually been able to control himself a little bit this season, which I think helps too. If you don't have to worry about Draymond getting thrown out of every fucking game and whining and bitching and punching on teammates, the Golden State Warriors look pretty decent when Draymond is on the court and can help facilitate and defend. But the issue is that the Golden State Warriors have had so much drama behind the scenes that now it looks like you said, Buddy Hield say he hasn't been this free to play. I think the Steph and Draymond might not have been this free in a while either because they had to deal with other shit. So Shout out to the Warriors. Are there any teams? Oh, Sacramento Kings, Phoenix Suns. They had a game the other night. Went to OT. Sacramento came out with the victory. How y'all feel about both of these teams? The Western Conference is a bloodbath. Let me ask you, X. The Kings, the Suns. How you feel?
As far as the Kings are concerned, I love what I see with DeRozan and Fox for the most part. DeRozan's looking comfortable, averaging another 25 a game, efficient from the field. Him and Fox did a really good job of closing out the Suns yesterday. I don't know. I do want to see the rookie play for him, Carter. I want to see how that goes.
I think he's still hurt.
He should be coming through soon. And, the Kings are legit, man. Like, I think they're going to be probably around the 7-6 mark. Hopefully, Phoenix can hold down the fort without KD.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Beal and Booker going to have to step their shit up. I do see a difference with Coach Bud and Tyus Jones. They're moving the ball around a lot more. It's like way less ISO ball than it was last year. So it's one thing I'm noticing. Ryan Dunn, like Apollo stated earlier, he's been a really good defender, timely buckets on offense. We're going to have to see if Beal and Booker can hold down the fort. I believe they can, but KD was playing at an MVP, not MVP, but he was playing at a very, very high level to start off the year. And hopefully he can come back and stay healthy throughout the year. It's going to depend on KD's health for real. That's what it boils down to.
And it's crazy, right? Because you're looking at a Phoenix Suns, you look at a Golden State Warriors, you look at a Los Angeles Lakers. Those are three very, very popular teams before their star players. Anthony Davis just got injured. He has an eye injury, something that he's dealt with before. How do you feel about the Phoenix Suns, their ability to, I guess, stay afloat in KD's absence? And, I mean, do you believe in Beal and Booker at all to get the job done? Lee?
I do. Because it's only going to be for a couple weeks. It's not going to be like anything long term. So if they can get Wizards Beal back for at least a couple weeks,
asking a lot there, buddy. Asking a lot there.
It's just a couple of weeks. If they could get Wizards Beal for at least a couple of weeks, we know what Booker can do. Tyus is one of the best probably the best guard in the league at assist to turnover ratio. If Nurkic can just be a positive, it should be fine. And Sacramento, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but De'Aaron Fox, he did close out the Suns last night, but he shot 0 for 6 from 3. There was another night where he shot 0 of 11 from 3. He's going through this 3-point slump right now, but it really doesn't matter because Sabonis averaging 20, 10, and 5 again. DeRozan doing his thing. Keegan Murray's been pretty good. And you know what Malik Monk can provide off the bench. So the Kings, they've been as what we expected so far this season.
Yeah, I think DeRozan fits well in his role. Like you mentioned, Fox had a little share of struggles, but I think any team that upgrades Harrison Barnes for another wing, I think you're doing good. Yeah. And that's typically how this goes. It's typically how this goes. Maybe the Spurs will be able to kind of get some of that luck for Wemby once they get rid of Harrison Barnes. Speaking of Wemby, how are y'all feeling so far about this sophomore season for him? His second year. How you feeling, X?
So we've had discussions on a hoop panel. I don't really like the shot selection. I don't like the amount of threes he's taking, 42% from the field. It's like, bro, get on the block, take some turnaround jumpers, take some jump hooks, roll to the basket, get some easy buckets, man. You're making it too difficult on yourself. And I had stated before the season that if the Spurs don't get between 35 and 40 wins, we got to slow down on this generational talk. Like, he's a great, great player. But the Spurs went from 17 wins to 22 wins last year. They're not really off to a great start this year. And like, it was one game, he had 15 points and 6 rebounds. It's like, bro, you should not be letting anybody guard you to put up numbers like that. I'm watching the game against the Jazz on Saturday, and he got Colin Sexton in the post, and he passed out. So just certain things I'm not liking, bro. Just to be real. He's great, but we got to slow down the hype just a little bit.
What about you, Lee? How you feeling about Wemby?
Yeah, I'm very underwhelmed by Wemby to start the season as well. This, instead of being like Giannis, just running people over and doing whatever he wants in the paint, because he can at that size. He's shooting logo threes and too many threes, actually, for his size. What is he shooting, like 9-10 threes a game? That's way too much. If I don't know who's in his ear or who he's training with or his mindset is from game to game, but you got to make it easy on himself. No one's blocking your shot in any part of the floor. Fine. You know how with every player, they have a set move. They have a go-to move. What's his go-to move? I know we're starting with the second year in the league, but what is his go-to move?
That's why I feel like he got to simplify. I don't think he got one, man.
Bad shot, taking a bad 3-pointer. That's what it looked like his signature shot. He be jacking up threes and shit, and it's like your shot selection for Wemby is confusing because he is playing with one of the greatest point guards ever played a game. So it feels like you can find and pick your spots. Yeah. You should be able to roll. You should get at least 10 lobs a game at this point. Nigga, you 7'4", 7 foot, whatever. You should like this is a no-brainer. So it's confusing, man. I don't know if Pop just don't care no more. like for the last couple of years, I just been like, yo, does Pop not care like at all? Like it really feel like he just don't care no more. Like he'd be out there just drawing up whatever. He just write on the board and be like, y'all do what the fuck y'all want. Listen to what Chris Paul say. And so that bothers me when he's getting. I want to say one game. I think it might have been a game. Actually, someone he had 15 and 6. It was just like an embarrassing game to watch. It's just and it's just there's no urgency on Wemby's part, and I think that is also an issue because I guess when the game comes so easy to you, sometimes you can kind of. I don't know. I felt like he was going to come into the season after, being so close to a gold medal and having it snatched away. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that would motivate him to want to come into the season with like a extra vigor, but it hasn't. So
he came in talking spicy. Remember what he said? He was like, niggas is overrated, NBA easy and all that.
He did.
I was like, all right, I need to speak a little bit more. My nephew
famous last word, bro.
I'm like, nah, yo, you can't say shit like that. And getting guarded by Colin Sexton in the post. Like,
yeah. I don't know what's going on with Wemby, man. I don't know. Hopefully, they got a game coming up against the Lakers, I think on Friday. Everybody tends to go off against the Lakers and find a rhythm against the Lakers. So let's hope. Let's hope for Wemby's sake. He go out there and drop like 30, 40 on especially if the Lakers are without AD. I don't know if they will be without AD super long, but if they are, there's one thing I wish. I wish for the downfall of the Los Angeles Lakers. Every day. That's just the thing. I will say shout out to LeBron. His old ass is still out there putting up triple doubles and still playing at a high level. I mean, obviously, He had a I think a really great game against the Grizzlies, but it really didn't matter because they got washed. But he was definitely putting on some good some good stats, and I think the Lakers got another game against the Grizzlies. I want to say Wednesday, so we got a chance to right that wrong and get a win back against them Grizzlies. But let me ask you, let me ask both of y'all real quick. I guess this is one of the last things we'll talk about. We talk about Wemby. Wemby has a slight nemesis in Oklahoma City that is currently going to be out, I believe, 8 to 10 weeks is what I saw. Chet is down. He's been playing pretty well for OKC as well prior to that. So OKC got off to a great start. They've looked amazing. Let me start with you, Lee. What do you think this Chet injury does for OKC? Does it drop them down lower in the lower tier, or can they still maintain without Chet?
They could maintain, but Shea would have to go back to Shea from last year where he's averaging 30, 35 a night. It would require that and maybe Jalen Williams to average 20, 24 a game. Because without Chet and without Hartenstein, who's protecting the rim? Because it's
thin.
Yeah.
It's thin.
Yeah. It is. It's going to be open season for anyone going forward these 8 to 10 weeks, going against whoever's going against OKC, because that was the best part about Chet's game this season, where he was playing at a DPOY level, averaging 3.5, close to 4 blocks a game. You're missing that now for 8 to 10 weeks. That is tough. But
yep.
Hopefully for their sake, if Shea and Jalen Williams can hold down the fort, maybe. But that's where I stand on that.
Hopefully Hartenstein can come back relatively soon.
Yeah.
If he can come back soon, then I think they could hold down the fort with Chet not being there until January, because J-Dub Williams is going to step up offensively. I think they got Isaiah Joe. He's going to play well offensively. Lou Dort, he can have his moments where he'll have some offensive explosions. So I think they have enough offensively if Hartenstein comes back soon. Hartenstein and Jalen Williams is out too, so they're missing 3 centers.
Oh.
But I just hope Chet stays healthy, because he was, like Lee said, he was playing at a high level, close to double-double, blocks, shooting efficiently. He was shooting 40% from 3. He was hitting 52% from the field. So I just hope he can come back healthy and OKC can make a real legitimate run. I hope he's not out too long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Hope Chet gets well soon. Last thing, is there any team or any player right now that you guys are focused on right now that maybe everybody else is not paying a lot of attention to? But I'm gonna ask you, Ax. You got any players on your radar, any teams on your radar that aren't getting a lot of buzz?
Shout out to my guy, Benedict Mathurin, the wing from the Indiana Pacers. Ever since they put him in the starting lineup, he been averaging 25 a game. Had a career high 38 against the Knicks last night.
Mm-hmm.
Really explosive player, man. Can score on all 3 levels. Indiana's not going to be able to re-sign him after this year, so he's going to be a star soon. That's a guy. Like Grady Private Parts in Toronto's been playing pretty well too.
Grady Private Part.
He's been averaging RJ Barrett's been averaging 25 points and 7 assists. LaMelo averaging 28. There's a lot of young players playing well. I know everybody is talking about team records and the old motherfuckers and guys injured and all that, but you get past that, it's a lot of guys having career years to start.
That's true. No, that is true. There are a lot of talented players out there showing and proving. The stars may not be having the best years to start. Some of them, but there's a lot of talent in the league. Lee, you got anybody on your radar? Any teams?
Um. Well, I'm not sure about any teams, but the guys that Axe just mentioned, you said Grady private parts, but yeah, yeah, the Grady. What's wild about Grady is that he barely had any PT during his rookie year. It was just one of those rookie campaigns where he just barely played. And this year, I think they're like making him a two. He's like the two guard. I don't know who the point guard is in Toronto, but he's the two guard for sure.
Quickly.
Okay, Quickly's point guard, but Grady's the two guard, and he's averaging 21 a game. On 47% shooting. He's shooting like 38% from three. He's playing at a not. He's playing at an MIP level, the most improved player, honestly. I would say Kobe White. He'd be another guy for me because last year he should have won most improved player, but didn't for whatever reason. Those are a couple guys that comes to mind when it comes to guys that are getting better every day.
Yeah, Kobe's definitely been cold, man. Like, good 3-point shooter, good creating his shot. I don't know exactly what the Bulls' game plan is. They just want to stick to this roster. But if they do find a trade partner for Levine, then I can see Kobe like taking another leap. Just depends.
The Warriors have always been linked to Zach LaVine.
I don't want to see that cheating ass shit. Fuck no. Eric, I think this is the last topic, yo. I just want to let you know. I think True said this is like the last topic, so
okay. All right.
Oh, he came back. I wasn't sure. Like,
no, man. I had a phone call and somehow I tried to click the button to like cut the phone, like to get rid of the call, and I hit the leave button. I hit the little X button on the side of the damn StreamYard thing, and it took me out. So, but not that was the last question, but last topic to talk about. But like I said, y'all have mentioned some really solid players. I think right now we're gearing up, like I said, with the NBA Cup, everything going on. Looking ahead to what December looks like, and that's when you really get in the thick of things of the season. December, January, February, when teams start going a little bit harder. Players out there trying to get that All-Star, trying to make All-Star and stuff like that. So it's gonna be an interesting next couple weeks, I'd say, in the NBA. See who's gonna win that in-season tournament, aka the NBA Cup. But I want to first give a shout out to my brother Apollo, and I want to talk about Shock Sports and everything that they have going on. And he's rounding up again. He's got some new topics, some new content over there at Shock Sports. Make sure y'all check out X in the Hoop Panel. Of course, shout out to Tay. He couldn't be here tonight, but shout out to my brother. And appreciate 10-day contract, taking time for coming in. And you know what I'm saying, and talking with us lowly servants while you're out there getting your 10-day and 2-week contracts. But of course, if you haven't noticed, right now it's 11/11, November 11th. That means Soul Revival 6 is out right now. Make sure y'all go listen to that right now. As soon as you cut this off, while you listen to this in the background, whatever, make sure you listen to that. Also, make sure you check out the Medium site. We got tons of articles coming. Shout out to Tev. He couldn't make it tonight. He got a couple new articles talking about the Warriors and the Miami Heat. So much more coming. I know we got an NFL show, college football, and I am 99.9999999% sure me and Eric will get a weekend wrestling done this week. It's a good week to be DAR because, as you know, the world of DAR never stops.